Welcome to the June 30th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist. Good evening.
And I had some decent pacing there, I think. I thought I had some good pacing. What do you think?
It was very suave.
It was suave.
I guess the show must
Debonair.
go on, so we'll take it.
Sorry to disappoint, Lotus. There's always a critic, and I would believe you'd be the critic.
Lotus doesn't force around. To the point.
Yeah.
Maximum efficiency.
Yeah.
Well, he can edit this podcast to his contentment. He'll just
Welcome
forget
to
include my. He'll forget to include my
Reactive
my
June
audio.
30th podcast of I'm Vysethebold. It's like, whoa, what is this speed fluctuation? what masterful editing.
we turn the podcast into zero punctuation.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's like Ask a Ninja style edits. Remember Ask a Ninja?
I know of it. I don't know if I ever actually saw it.
I don't know
It's just
about
really
it, but
quick edits. So that there's basically no pauses in between saying
Okay.
things. Yeah, it's just like one of those things. So like a person would talk like normally, but like there's no way they could keep that up for in reality.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
Where
just
you
like
run out
do
of
quick
air
cutting,
for
quick
starts.
cutting. Yeah.
So
Anyway, yeah, we have some interesting news this week. We also had
do we?
what is it, Games Plus or New Games Plus happened this week, so we had a bunch of announcements from that. So some pretty cool Japanese game announcements. So stuff that definitely Lotus and I would be interested in, especially. But first thing that I wanted to go over, I don't really have any like major super major news that happened this week. I mean, a lot of the stuff that has been going on has kind of been out of the like the scope of the show.
Got two little bits, if I may mention.
Okay, go ahead.
You heard of New Blood?
No, I don't.
For the publisher, New Blood, the publisher.
Oh no, I was
No
thinking
idea.
you were going in like a Wolfenstein direction.
No, well, I could go for the comic one, but no, I'm talking about the publisher who published, I think, Dusk and Amityville.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sure.
they just recently published two new games, or actually their demos, Gloomwood and Ultrakill. And I fucking love Ultrakill.
I mean, like, considering
Ultra
what
Kill?
kind of games they make, Ultra Kill just sounds like the name of something they'd put out. That's amazing.
Yeah, like, it's basically a robot going to hell to fuel up on blood. It's literally the code is, humanity is dead, blood is fuel, hell is full. Go for it.
That's
That
amazing.
That sounds like the most metal thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like something that like would be the subject of a song in Metalocalypse.
Imagine
by Death Clock.
Imagine a low end, like slightly clunky graphic version of Doom Eternal meeting with Devil May Cry. Like you have a combo maker.
Oh, that's cool.
I just love the idea that, like, you have one of the George Romero zombie movies, maybe even the original, The Night of the Living Dead, where I think the tagline or some line was, "When hell is full, the dead will walk the earth." But in this case, no, fuck it. Hell is full, harvest them for fuel.
Yeah, well,
Well,
it's actually definitely one of the game mechanics where you can, if you are hitting a blood splash of an enemy, you get healed.
Well, I certainly am enjoying this like indie like first person shooter renaissance that we're going through right now, because like there are so many really good indie first person shooters coming out like just constantly now, and like there's like a new one all the time, and they all have original concepts. There's even some rhythm a rhythm one that's going around that
I saw a thing
I've
for
seen
that.
two.
Yeah.
I've seen two. One of was
yeah.
the one with the demon, the other was one with the Valkyries, and I both really don't care about either because rhythm shooting doesn't sound like my type of area. Like maybe it's for some forms of gimmick, but to me it's a bit too gimmicky.
Well, I just recently saw that was it Receiver 2 came out pretty recently, and
Oh, that's a different beast.
Receiver 1 was pretty novel at the time.
That's an entirely different beast.
Yeah, well, Receiver was really cool because that was like the first game where you had to like clean your gun, like basically
Right.
like you have to load your gun like manually.
Yes, I
Yeah.
call this like the forklifter use of items. Like the way how Arma handles everything is like the absolute micromanagement of things. And in receiver, you basically have like an entire for a semi-automatic pistol, like you have a button to remove and insert a magazine. You have separate buttons for putting the bullets inside the magazine, putting it back, using the what is it called? Turning the safety on off, pulling the hammer back, pulling the entire slide back, and then fire.
Yeah, there's like a rhythm to it apparently. Like you get used to pressing like all the keys in succession. It kind of has a quap feel at first because you're very awkward with it because you're trying to you have to do a lot of like fine movements with different keys, but eventually you get to kind of be doing exactly what you want.
I actually saw someone do it, like made a Doom version, like for like receiver for GZ Doom.
Oh, okay, that's really cool. I just got a new computer here, so I'm starting to load it with some cool things in order to
get Ultrakill,
test out some FPSs.
Or if you
What's
like,
that?
I said, try Ultrakill demo. You're really going to like it. Or if you like stealthy games, Gloomwood, which is if called like a more action-oriented, like less steely and more stabby type of game, similar to Thief, I think.
Gotcha. Well, what was your second what was your second thing that you want to talk about real quick, Dracologist?
Well, that was the two.
Oh, those are the two things. Okay, well, moving on from that, unless you had anything else to add.
Nope, not at the moment.
Okay. So I thought this was really interesting. Maybe Lotus, you saw this as well, but Shakedown Hawaii is shaking up to be have some cool impact on history. At least, it'll be one of those games that you talk about because it was a last of kind of thing. But apparently, it looks like they are possibly going to be the last Wii game shipped, like physical Wii game shipped anywhere in the world as of right now.
Until Just Dance 13 or whatever.
Well, it's kind of funny, but and they are. It also looks like they may be the last Wii U title published as well.
Take that, Axiom Verge.
Yeah, so
but
they actually got North American certification for the Wii U version, but the Wii one's European. But I'm sure most people that are still playing Wii games and Wii enthusiasts have all hacked their Wiis to hell because it's a vital part of being a Wii owner. I'm sure you'll be able to play the European one.
Not to mention, recently the source code has been leaked.
Yeah. And plus, I don't know. These are kind of gimmick things. I doubt that the people that are buying these are going to be opening them to play them because you could play Shakedown Hawaii in pretty much everything. I mean, that's kind of the point.
Well, that was kind of the thing I was wondering about. Well, that's what I was wondering about. Like, of all the systems to release these on, you chose the two least convenient ones in existence.
I think first of all the guy who makes it is a huge Nintendo fan, so being a monumental release of some sort is a big deal for him.
Okay.
That's number one, and also it's getting Shakedown Hawaii in the news, like other versions of it. So I mean, I'm sure this is acting as advertising as well for copies of it on Steam and Switch and all that. His previous game was a Retro City Rampage. I think Retro City Rampage ended up being the last Vita game as well, or last PSP game, something like that. He has like some weird esoteric official version that is really odd. I think he even put out an NES version of that, which isn't official, of course, because he never published it with Nintendo. But yeah, I think Retro City Rampage has a weird version for it. So this came out on Windows, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita. It was like one of the last Vita games, I think. Xbox 360, Wii, Nintendo 3DS, OS X. Oh, so there's an Apple version. Jeez. PlayStation 4, Linux, DOS, PlayStation Portable. Oh, maybe it was the PlayStation Portable version that I'm thinking of, because the Vita version, I think it was pretty popular when the Vita came out. But he's been well known for just making a port for the hell of it, not because he thinks that like this will be where people play it, but he kind of just likes it.
I guess
just
it's
likes
kind of like
porting
Xenocrisis. Like, I guess we'll put it on the Dreamcast.
And the games have simple art style, but I think he just really enjoys porting it over and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, DOS version. He made a DOS version.
That's impressive.
Which is crazy. So like Jake Kaufman. I'm sorry.
Just like DOS version, not bad, but not impossible.
Yeah, but it's still pretty cool to have a modern game ported to DOS. I mean, that doesn't happen very often.
Well,
yeah, this was made by V Blank Games. So yeah, Shakedown Hawaii similarly has esoteric ports, including a Vita port. Apparently, is coming. So, that's really really cool. His name's Brian Provinciano. That sounds like a nice Italian boy. So anyway, it's pretty cool. I love that kind of stuff. I love the passion that these people have for doing this kind of thing, and it's also a good service to send off some systems too. So who knows? But I think there may be an esoteric Wii port of something else, a Wii U port, but I doubt the way this is looking to be probably the last Wii title. So I just thought it was pretty neat. And there were a bunch of reveals and releases that came up that were pretty darn cool. So Mr. Driller Drill Land was released on Switch in North America. Apparently, this is the best version of Mr. Driller that exists, and I think this was the GameCube one, and they up-rested and everything. Everything looks good. Apparently, the way that they drew the graphics in this, nothing really needed to be upscaled because they had some kind of weird vector method that drew the graphics in this game, so they could upport it really easily. And apparently, it's according to Jeremy Parrish, who of Retronauts fame, really loves this version of Mr. Driller. He said it's the definitive version of Mr. Driller. So if it was a really fun puzzler on a number of systems that I played, including the Dreamcast and the DS. The DS had a very early Mr. Driller title on the DS. I think a launch title.
One odd that I've seen it on Steam as well.
Mr. Driller on Steam. I think Mr. Driller Drill Land might have gotten on Steam as well. Along with the Switch version. Yep. So yeah, $30 if you want either of them. So people are raving about it. All of the Mr. Driller fans love this one. Everybody's very thankful that we have it. It's also not doomed to an import of a dead system. So really, really cool stuff. So I'm excited. And you get to play as Dig Dug. Once you unlock him. So that's pretty cool. Moving on from that, a while back, I had been talking pretty big length about the Darius Cozmic collection and how it had like a janky release in the United States, kind of a weird release in Japan, and then much later in the U.S. For a while there, it was like a physical exclusive that you could only get from Japan. and they announced that there were, and they have since rectified it all. You can get this in the United States on PS4 and Switch now, but they had announced that there was going to be a second volume, and I wondered what exactly they were going to put on that collection, because there was really only 2 games left in the series that they hadn't gotten, and that was Darius and Darius Burst Chronicles Survivor. And lo and behold, that is exactly what they're putting on there. But the good news is that Darius, which is a fantastic game, it's probably considered by a lot of people to be either the best or like second best in the series. Darius Burst is also like one of the best games in the series, and so is Gaiden. So those 3 are like the best games in the series. Like, everybody has their favorites. But the issue with Darius primarily is that it was the only one. It was the first game in the series to be done in 3D, and it was ported to the PlayStation 1 back in the day. And the 3D models, by today's standards, look pretty poor. Whereas, a game like Darius Gaiden, which was ported to Saturn, still looks great because it was a 2D game. However, they are releasing Darius HD with up-res graphics and textures, so it's going to play like you remember it, but it's going to look really good. So this is going to be like the definitive version of Darius on there. And Darius Burst Chronicle Survivor is getting yet another release, which is good. This Darius Burst is already on PS4 and Steam, but who knows, they might add content to it, and it's already pretty content-rich, so maybe it's just kind of a bonus kind of thing, for people who want a complete collection, that kind of thing. But still really awesome to have every single Darius game ever made, pretty much. All on one system. I mean, ports and all too, because these collections have included all kinds of ports, all kinds of console ports. So it's really neat. Next after that is we talked about this a little while ago, but Shiren the Wanderer 5 was getting a port to the Switch, but we had only ever seen the announcement of it in Japan. We hadn't seen a confirmation of a North American release. And we finally do have a confirmation of a port to the PC and Switch for North America, which is excellent. I can imagine that it will sell really, really well on PC. Shiren the Wanderer is basically like the series that started roguelikes being popular on consoles to begin with. Shiren the Wanderer was a game that was on Famicom, Super Famicom, kind of a spin-off of Dragon Quest V, if I'm remembering correctly, and so it's been a popular series for a very long time in Japan. Less so over here. I mean, we had a few entries that have made it over. There was a Wii version, a version for the DS, and it also came to Vita. This particular one, Shiren the Wanderer 5, came to Vita, but this is again one of those games that finally got rescued from the Vita that will be put on a more mainstream, currently played system. So I'm certainly excited about this. You won't need to rely on your Switch, on your Vita version anymore, and you'll be able to play it portably and on PC. So this is really, really good stuff. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to see the Twitch streams for this kind of thing, because just like with Lotus, when you do your Binding of Isaac stuff and your Enter the Gungeon stuff, like these things are very entertaining. Any sort of roguelike is very entertaining to watch on stream because of how exciting it is. So
I'm waiting for Lotus to start playing Dead Cells.
Yeah, I don't actually own that one.
Good game.
What is it?
I mean, a lot of those are fun. Dead Cells, because a lot of those are fun.
No, Dead Cells.
It's not just about beating it; it's just about what kind of runs you can have, and you can do that long after beating it. Like beating the game.
Yeah,
is
it's
like
exciting
step
to see kind of like the slot machine effect. How lucky you can get and what what synchronicities you have and that kind of stuff. But I'm pretty excited about this one in particular because it's getting more and more mainstream success, and I think this is the first time that Spike Chunsoft is publishing it in the United States on their own. Because Spike Chunsoft has been publishing, finally opened their publishing house. A couple of years ago at this point. So they're able to put this out themselves rather than have it handled by a third party like Axis or something like that. So that's pretty cool. And let's see here. Some weird activity has been happening on Steam from Capcom. So the entire Breath of Fire series soundtracks were put on Steam like out of nowhere, and people were like, "What the hell is that?"
Well, I mean, I gotta say, I really do appreciate that. Like this is not a brand new thing, but I really appreciate that you can just buy the soundtracks to games on Steam without having to buy the game first, because sometimes maybe you just like the soundtrack, so it's really cool that you can do that now instead of having it as an additional purchase to the base game if you don't want the game.
Yeah, what's especially neat about it is that they have separated soundtracks into its own like category on Steam as well. So
much appreciated.
You can just use it as a media player for those kinds of regards. So for all of those soundtracks, you have gotten free with purchases, and then you could purchase any other game soundtrack on its own. And it seems like companies are starting to just release soundtracks just because even without the games. Yeah, it's pretty neat. They're using it as a music selling platform, which it never really was. Steam has dabbled in selling movies at one point or another, and they have since all. I think they stopped selling movies on Steam a long time ago at this point. But it's actually kind of sad that they got rid of the movies, because I bought a bunch. I don't know where they went in my library, or if I could still even access them, but I'm sure there's a way to, but whatever. But it's cool that this has become kind of like a game soundtrack platform, which is really neat. It's much appreciated. And the Breath of Fire series is kind of an underdog series. Really, only the first two games are readily available. You can buy 3 and 4, but you can only play them on PS3 and Vita currently, which are both, dead platforms for all intents and purposes. But 1 and 2 are on the Super Nintendo app on the Switch, so you can currently play those. But people were speculating, hopefully maybe the Breath of Fire series would get ported to Steam eventually, but then Capcom kind of refuted that. They didn't deny that, but they kind of showed that it wasn't just Breath of Fire that it was showing support for. They put a whole bunch of other soundtracks on Steam right along with it. So Ace Attorney, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, and Shinsekai in the Depths are also available on Steam now. So that there are a bunch of games in those series that aren't all on Steam as well. So take it with a grain of salt. Any speculation regarding that, but I know a lot of people who are Breath of Fire fans are hoping that at least the 5th game get ported, because that's kind of an unusual game in the series. It's kind of a roguelite as well. So it kind of had some Dark Souls-ish elements before Dark Souls was a thing. So I just think it's neat that Capcom is supporting their games in that way, and also that people can listen to their fantastic soundtracks, because the Breath of Fire soundtracks are quite great. So it's really, really awesome. Did you ever play those, Lotus?
No, I never touched them.
Yeah, me either. I own them, but I've never really played them. So, but I think it's pretty neat. Pretty neat. Moving on. This is kind of another Steam thing, but have I ever showed you Hylics?
I don't think so.
I know that game. It's basically LSD RPG game.
Yeah, I recommend clicking on the link here because Hylics was a very trippy RPG that was made on Steam, and it was only like a couple bucks. You could buy it and it had like a lot of like clay animation elements, but it looked like it had a battle system that was based off of kind of like a Dragon Quest or Mother or Earthbound kind of system, and it's very surreal and has some kind of black deadist humor involved in it, but it is a trippy looking but really compelling looking game, and they just released Hylics 2. Mason Lindroth, it looks like a one man publisher and developer, and some surreal, pretty cool looking effects, and the graphics are much more advanced than the original.
Well, the original
it's a
was
really
claymation.
neat looking. What's that?
The original was claymation.
Yeah, so this one has that still, but it also has some other stuff going on. Like there's some looks like some capture, some like motion capture going on. Like they digitized pictures and that have been filtered and things like that. Really cool looking animation. So like for instance, the main characters like hands do like a bunch of different movements, like and different spells, and it's obviously like captures of somebody like moving their arms, and in very interesting ways. So I thought it was really neat looking, and definitely something that a lot of people are going to talk about. It might not be for everyone because it has some like disturbing kind of trippy looking imagery. Nothing like terrible, but it's just kind of, you know, the kind of stuff that would freak you out when you were a kid, when you were watching, like, you know, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Satan would pop out, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? Like, just like weird looking
out of
stuff.
Fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
what was that?
It was like, yeah, like, who are you? Satan.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. It looks like that. It looks like that kind of trippiness. So definitely something neat and weird, and something that I am certainly interested in. And then after that, I thought this was interesting. So SNK has had some interesting things going on this week. There have been quite a few things, in fact, that SNK has put out. But one of the things that made the most, the biggest splash, was that they said that they were going to be putting out a new Neo Geo game, or a new, I'm sorry, not a new Neo Geo game, a new Metal Slug game, and people were like, "Oh boy, what's this?" And it turns out it's a mobile game made in conjunction with like a Tencent subsidiary.
Yes, that's Strike 2 already.
Yeah. So it's Metal Slug J, and it has 3D graphics, and that's like the third strike.
Well,
you know,
that
doesn't look bad though.
That should be a third strike, but the thing is, I think they actually released some kind of Metal Slug game, like not in America, but it made it to Europe. That was 3D, and it actually
it was Japan
okay.
only. It was Japan only. That was a 3D. It was a 3D title, but this one has like 3D graphics but 2D gameplay.
Okay.
But it's Metal Slug J. It's a mobile game. I'm not interested. You know, if they want to release it later, I mean, it looks like, you know, a janky mobile game anyway. So, I felt like I needed to say something about it at least. But SNK does a lot on mobile, and I wish like that the King of Fighters game where they're crossing over with WWE was
American
on console.
wrestling.
Yeah,
What?
I wish that was on console.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I would play that on console for sure. But you know, it's one of those, you know, it has gotcha elements and all that stuff. But they also announced the final character in Samurai Shodown Season 2, which is their current game. You know, the recent Samurai Shodown, the current one. And this was a big surprise. It was Warden, a crossover character from Ubisoft's For Honor, which
Yeah,
I'm not
For
really.
Honor.
Yeah, Ubisoft's
is-
For Honor. Yeah.
Quite a crossover.
Yeah, it's a very unusual crossover event, but
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's still weird.
it's weird because like For Honor's not a very particularly popular title.
Yeah, it's just like
Some people play it, but
Maybe it's more popular in Japan and Europe, but like in America, I don't know anybody who plays it.
Yeah, like
Maybe
it
it's
has
more
its
of a
audience,
PC-centric.
but like, get ready, guys! The big For Honor crossover. Like, all right.
I would think there would be more Samurai Showdown fans that wanted that like little green guy from the original Samurai Showdown
from
that's
the
never
first
been in
game and
another
never
game.
again. What was wrong with them?
Yeah, Retro. Apparently, he was the first character conceived for the series.
Really?
Yeah, and he's also the most hated by a lot.
Why?
He's just a lot of people. I guess going through the circuit when they originally played it said that he was like an ugly character that didn't look like he belonged there. But since then, he has
does
got.
admittedly look kind of out of place. He's the one like just monster character.
Yeah, he looks like Blanca. I mean, like he's probably a Blanca, stand-in. But
He's Choi Bounce. Remember Choi Bounce?
But I think what's cool about him is he's kind of gotten his fans and people that want him to return.
He
So
was actually the guy that I played as when I played Samurai Showdown, and then he's just gone forever.
And Retro Gamer said the same thing. A friend of the show, Retro Gamer, he said that's his favorite character too. So it's just one of those things. But Warden. I mean, I always like guest characters. I think it always mixes it up and makes a game unique. So it also presents a problem later on when you might want to get a port of a game. You might not get a complete game. Like Soul Calibur 2, it doesn't have Link in it. But it does have every other character. You could do Hayachi versus Spawn for the first time ever.
That's
and that
pretty
was
great.
ported, which is pretty neat. So it ends up being the definitive version. That ended up being the definitive version, the newer port. But still, rights issues are always complicate things. But this is pretty cool. Maybe also get some interest for Honor. A new audience to it. Also, this is a big thing for me.Maybe not the wider audience, but I have been talking about and raving about how they released 2 Neo Geo Pocket Color games on Switch so far. Samurai Showdown 2 was the first one that was released on Switch, and it was included as a bonus for buying the new Samurai Showdown. Now, the Samurai Showdown 2 for the Neo Geo Pocket Color was a fantastic game and an even better port. Once again, what made these so special is that these games were really fun in versus mode, but you needed 2 Neo Geo Pocket Colors, a link cable, and 2 copies of the game. And that was the only way to play it, and most emulators don't support 2 players. And that's where these games really shine. And they emulated the fighters for the system perfectly on the Switch by having a single screen versus mode in addition to all the one-player content. So really awesome, fully fledged Neo Geo Pocket Color emulator for the system. And it's an official one, which is even better. But they announced that Samurai Showdown 2 will also be able to be purchased on its own, not just as a pre-order incentive, which is really, really, really cool. I hate to see when things like this have like exclusivity, because this should hit the audience at a wider level. But they also announced as a part of this line of games, they've named it the Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection. They also put out Gals Fighter a little while ago, but they're finally putting out the King of Fighters R2 game out as well in July. So I'm super excited about that as well. So basically, the best fighters on the system, with the exception of Capcom versus SNK versus Capcom Match of the Millennium, is not on here, obviously, because of probably rights issues. But the other great games are making it. King of Fighters, Samurai Shodown 2, and Gals Fighters. I would suspect that maybe Fatal Fury wouldn't be far behind, and maybe Last Blade. Last Blade had a really good version on Neo Geo Pocket Color. They also said that there will be more games coming, so maybe the Metal Slug games, those two were unique. But always holding out for the Capcom games, because they also had the SNK versus Capcom Card Fighters, and those games were really good too. So. You can always hope. But I'm not pushing it. I love that they're doing this anyway. And I just thought this was interesting. BTSX Episode 1, which is a very well-regarded Megawad pack, fan-made Megawad pack, was added as an official add-on for Doom PC and consoles. For the Bethesda launcher version on PC. I thought that was really awesome. It's really cool that they are giving a spotlight and support to long-standing Doom wads that have been in the limelight.
I actually asked people on the Mystery Carus channel, and BTSX stands for Back to Saturn X.
Okay, I was wondering about that. So apparently this is one of the most well-regarded. I mean, we had talked about them supporting unofficial mods before by spotlighting them. You can download this on Switch and PS4. I mean, this is really awesome. I mean, they're spotlighting really good fan-made content. I mean, they already put up Sigil, which is not exactly fan-made content. It was made by John Romero, but it was unofficial. It was not a Doom product, and they included that in the launcher and as an add-on. So these things are all really, really cool. And it also gets some exposure for some of the people who put in a ton of time that made basically, professional level fan games here, with the Doom engine. Really, really cool stuff. Moving on from that, Rogue Legacy 2 is coming out, and it's already out on early access. Or is it coming out on early access soon? I forget. But Rogue Legacy 2, is this out on... it is coming out on early access July 23rd. That's correct. So Rogue Legacy made a splash as probably the first prominent Metroidvania roguelite. So not the first one, but like the first popular one, I would say,
really big one,
or really big one. And the new one looks amazing. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like there are a lot more different techniques that you can perform. The original game is very difficult, and I think they are giving more movement options. It looks like they're taking some cues from Hollow Knight. Like, it looks like you can do some pogo stuff by smacking some enemies.
Attacking downward?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Maybe not like Shovel Knight, bouncing around, but like smacking enemies. You can.
Well, yeah, Shovel Knight was more like DuckTales, where you just do it, but with Hollow Knight, it was a conscious downward attack.
Yeah, and it would have to be on spikes or an enemy in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is really cool. Lotus, have you had a chance to take a look at this? At least the videos of Rogue Legacy 2 yet?
No, I almost never look at trailers. If I hear a game's gonna come out, then, unless something crazy happens specifically in the trailer, then I don't care. I'll just play the game when it's out. Like, even No More Heroes 3. Okay, cool, it's coming out. And it wasn't until I learned that the trailer was like...
I mean, that's always the case with
in the game at all.
More Heroes.
All right, fine.
That's always the case with No More Heroes. Like, the thing that they come out, the teaser, is not actually in the game, except maybe as a bonus.
Oh, that reminds me. Did you see the tweet about how there was some, I think it was leaked No More Heroes 3 gameplay, but it's like, oops, Suda 51's head is just in the way of the TV screen the whole time.
It's amazing.
It's perfect.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that, and I hope he liberates the first two games from the Wii, because I would really like to see...
Well, the first game's been liberated. I mean, not anymore,
not
but
really.
To the PS3. Yeah, the second game is just trapped.
Well, say that it's still locked. The original game is still locked to the Wii because like that PS3 port's not very good.
Oh, is it not?
Yeah, the frame rate's
I know that
really
it's not
bad.
the same without waggling to decapitate a guy or whatever, but
yeah, and also to charge your beam sword.
Yeah, that's very different.
The game is not the same with the Move controller either. It was quite janky. They had added that like pretty hastily.
How is it even possible to have a janky Move controller when the game is specifically designed to not give a shit about what you do with the Wiimote?
So the story was on that is that when they came out with the PS3 version of No More Heroes in Japan, they did not include motion controls at all. So it was not made with motion controls in mind. And then as a bonus, as kind of like something for fans and people that were hoping for it, Konami ported the PS3 one, right? And published it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was Ubisoft on the first two for the Wii, but I think the PS3 one was by Konami. Apparently, for the US release, they did all they could to add, motion controls to it, but it kind of was like retrofitted onto it. You know what I mean? So it didn't perform like the Wii version, let's say. It has bad frame rate, like worse than the Wii, because I guess the engine wasn't well optimized or whatever. It looks better, it has better textures, it has a higher resolution, but the frame rate is worse.
And it has a few like cameo fights from No More Heroes 2.
Yeah, I mean that version is worth buying on its own if you want to kind of see the battles, a couple battles from 2 in the newer engine.
And it also, I think, has an unlockable like swimsuit gallery mode, which for some reason does not include Speedbuster. I can't imagine why.
But Rogue Legacy 2 definitely looks like a lot of fun, and I'm glad that they're putting it out on early access because, as anybody knows who plays roguelites, that these are insanely complicated games that need to be fine-tuned a lot to ensure that the games are fun to play and also aren't completely broken. I mean, breaking the game is part of what makes a roguelite fun, with all the synchronizing, but it has to be done in kind of an intentional way. To the point where it doesn't... You could break the systems and have fun with the systems, like you shouldn't be that overpowered, that kind of thing, but it shouldn't break the game, that kind of thing. So they're releasing this in early access, so I'm sure Switch and PS4 ports are a long way off, but it's still pretty cool. And anybody who enjoys being part of the early access community of a game, this is pretty exciting because they're going to take your input seriously and help shape the game. So, this is a prominent game. It looks like a lot of fun, and it looks very charming. It doesn't look like they messed anything up. In fact, it just looks like a better version of Rogue Legacy, which I'm all for. Moving on from that, this was a very welcome surprise. Inti Creates announced 2 new games, the first being Azure Striker Gunvolt 3, which those games have always been pretty fun. They're kind of...
they're
Mega
like
Man
ZX games, but without the Mega Man name.
Yeah, exactly, and they're pretty fun. I actually like them quite a bit. Maybe not as much as Mega Man X, but they're still a lot of fun. But this is the big one. They announced Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Not
Castlevania 2.
Well, Bloodstained, not the major Bloodstained game, but the side game is getting a sequel.
So Castlevania, not Castlevania. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, exactly. But
I guess Castlevania 3, 2.
Curse of the Moon was a fantastic game on its own. I wouldn't even call it a side game at this point, because you and I had a lot of fun just playing this game, Curse of the Moon. Really liked it and really liked everything they did with it. So this is like an NES style, Bloodstained game, but this new one looks even better. Did you check out I guess you didn't really see this because you don't really watch trailers, but there's some really cool screen grabs of this game that look really awesome.
Sure.
Looks like some really cool sprite work that they're doing for this game. So I'm super excited about that. I know that the proper Bloodstained game, Circle the Moon, they just delayed one of the final updates for that, but I'm okay for a delay if it makes it better and it won't be janky, so I'm okay with that. Also, kind of in the same breath, during this New Games Plus presentation, they also did announce that Ys 9 is coming to North America. That's not a big surprise because basically every Ys game since pretty much since they started making the modern ones has come to the United States and North America in a really accessible form. They announced it for PC, PS4, and Steam. So and Switch. That should be in the notes. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Ys games are always a lot of fun. Hopefully, this will not be a botched release like 8 was. 8 had a famously botched to hell release. Very poor translation and very very poorly optimized
was bad
game.
Too.
Yeah, everything was bad about it.
Like words were like if the word was too long, that it would go on to the next line. It would just do that. Like if you told Microsoft Word not to just move the whole word over, so you would have exactly on the next line. It's what are you doing?
Yeah, there were a number of problems. Not only was it, it had a bad translation, it had bad UI, just like you said. It had bad presentation, but it also ran poorly, especially on the PC version and the Switch version. So they luckily did good on everything, and I think Nippon Ichi puts these out now. Nippon Ichi puts out the
NIS.
Yeah, the NIS puts out the Falcom games now. Not XE used to, and so they actually made good on it, and all of those problems have been resolved. Like the PC version of 8 is actually quite good now. I think Memories of Salcedo just got a wider release recently, and that performs well as well. That's the remake of 4.
That was the one that used to originally be a Vita exclusive.
Yeah. All the big Vita exclusive games now have been liberated, so I'm really happy about that. But this is good because Ys has always been a favorite of mine. I'm a little bit behind. I need to beat Memories of Salceda and 8, but I really like 7. I really like all the games before it.
But did you play Lacrimosa of Dana?
That would be 8. I did
8?
Not. Yeah.
Okay.
Lacrimosa of Dana is 8.
What a great title.
Yeah. Well, Monstrum Nox is not much better. Which is the subtitle for 9.
I think Lacrimosa means tears, like Tears of Dana, and Monstrum Nox means monstrous night.
Lacrimose is a word. Lacrimosa is not. Just Nox is night. Yeah. Monstrum, is that another language or something?
It's probably Latin. But yeah, this is Japanese naming conventions. They're always kind of goofy. They just throw in some Romanized nonsense for the hell of it.
German somewhere.
Yeah, they really like the German.
So I think you remember the subtitle of Xenosaga, Zervildemacht, which is
that was
Nietzsche.
I mean that was based on what was it? Yeah, that was the thing. It wasn't just random German. It was from philosophers. Same goes with the second game, Beyond Good and Evil, Jenseits von Gut und Böse, and the third one, The Spix Zarathustra. So there you go.
Which has some DNA in common with 2001: Space Odyssey.
Which is appropriate considering the first game opens with an obelisk.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not an obelisk, but close enough.
Yeah. It was intentional. It was an intentional reference for sure. But I'm excited about that. So moving on, there's also a new Earth Defense Force was announced for 2021.
Oh yeah.
possibly for new systems.
I really hope they continue to dub it in English, because the schlock voice acting is some of the best part of the whole game. Yeah, like, have you ever seen any of EDF 5?
No, but I
It's a
know that
riot.
these games get progressively more and more fun. They have a couple. They have like a misstep or two. Like they
Anytime they try making it like serious,
yeah.
like the
Insect
whole point of the game is
Armageddon.
the schlock. Yeah, Insect Armageddon was. I actually recently read about this. Insect Armageddon was, I think, designed more specifically for the Western audience, even though what audience they have is in it for the schlock. But in Japan, it wasn't even considered an EDF game. I think it was just called Insect Armageddon. It was
wow.
divorced from it, even though it's the gameplay really kind of is the same, but the attitude absolutely is not. But like the schlock is why we play it. It's stupid. Like, that's why it's fun. Like in EDF 5, there's this one part where you could hear all sorts of people panicking about what's happening, but their line readings are like awful on purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
Yeah, like they ate the captain. Well, time for revenge. It's like it's so funny.
I'm a big fan of the series. I mean, a lot of Americans got into the series because
the 360
one on
game.
the one on the 360 was a very early 360 game, and it was a hit, even though it was janky as shit. But I mean, that's part of the
Probably
charm.
because it was janky as shit.
Yeah, I mean, just like Deadly Premonition, it found its fans.
Yeah,
there's a lot to love.
An earnest charm to it.
Yeah, there's a lot to love with both of these titles, and the second one is coming.
Deadly Premonition also attracted possibly the Twin Peaks fandom.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah,
because EDF, I think the 361 might have been the first one to make it to the West.
No, it's the first one to make it to America.
That's what. Oh yeah, because Europe had what they called a Global Defense Force.
They got two. So the way that it works, this is one of the most interesting series trajectories. So this started off as a simple 2000 game, which was a series of games that were budget titles. Like 2000 is like the equivalent of about $20 in yen.
Yeah.
They were budget games that they released on the PS2 that were janky but fun.
Yeah, like those One-Chanbara games as well.
Yeah, that's the other surviving series from these. So One-Chanbara and EDF both kind of survived. They became their own series.
One-Chanbara is even more pure schlock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
it revels in it.
It's Bikini Girls.
Bikini Zombie Slayer or something.
Yeah,
Something
they're zombie
like that,
slayers.
yeah.
They're zombie slayers. There's one with a cowboy hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this series is even more popular than One-Chanbara, and the last couple titles they put out have been really popular. So it's really cool that they're making another one, and they always have tons and tons of enemies on screen, which is really fun. And
whenever they introduce the spaceships, like, even though these games are budget titles, the enemy spaceships, like the motherships and everything, are just gigantic. Like, it actually, even if you've played these games before, when you play a new one and you see, like, this is the opposing force, it's still intimidating every time.
Like all the gigantic ants that are going to swarm you and all that stuff.
And then the giant's
bees.
gigantic ant. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, and there are always tons of them on screen, in the same weird cycling animations.
Yeah,
really,
and if you
really
set
fun.
the difficulty to Inferno, you just fucking immediately die, because you're supposed to grind forever to be able to play that at all.
Yeah, so these games are a lot of fun. I recommend, if you want to get into this, just wait for the new one and just play that, because you really don't need to play the previous
each one
ones.
seems to be kind of, sort of, in a way, a remake of previous ones. Like,
Yeah.
not exactly, but
Yeah. There's no story to speak of other than
very little. Aliens are attacking.
Insects are coming.
One of our bases on Earth has been destroyed. I'll take your word, I guess. Like, all plot is done in, like, audio transmissions.
Yeah, so definitely look forward to this in 2021. Also, I should have brought this up when I was talking about Darius, but just like the Darius collection in Japan, or Darius, I should say, they came out with a Space Invaders collection that was exclusive to like a physical game over there. But they have announced that the physical version of Space Invaders Invincible Collection and digital versions are coming to America as well. So I'm excited about that, and I'm also excited that I did not spend the money for the limited edition for sure, because they're very expensive. Even the digital versions of these collections have been pretty damn expensive. I think their reasoning is they don't want people from Japan getting an American account and getting a cheaper version, which is also bad. Just give it to Japan for cheaper.
Yeah, that reminds me. Do you remember Persona? What was the first fighting game called on PS3?
Arena.
Where that's one of the extremely few PS3 games to be region locked. I think
and it's region locked in the other direction.
The American version.
Yeah, it's region locked in the other direction, which it hardly ever happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of funny. But I'm excited for this because this did look like a compelling collection. Space Invaders Extreme is on this collection, which is one of the best Space Invaders games, as well as a lot of other really good Space Invaders games. So I'm looking forward to it. Also, I should have brought this up, I think last week's, but I forgot. Star Wars Squadrons was announced, and this looked really compelling. Did you guys see anything on this?
I've seen it, but there was no gameplay.
Yeah, I'd heard of it. Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, just the name Squadrons.
Actually, it is a continuation of the X-Wing TIE Fighter series.
Oh, wow. That's
nice,
DOS era.
Still no gameplay.
Yeah, so the TIE Fighter is one of the best cockpit space shmup games of all time.
I've played a bit of it, and it's solid.
It's really, really good. Along with Wing Commander, TIE Fighter is one of the best games you could play that's like that. And
you're the freaking bad guys, too. That was wild.
Well, the first game was X-Wing, and X-Wing was inordinately hard. It's so difficult that even fans of the series don't like it.
It's brutal. I actually tried playing it even with a walkthrough to make sure I was doing things right, and I can't get past some embarrassing level 3 or something. It's what is happening?
It's almost impossible. It's very, very difficult. But oddly enough, the sequel, which is TIE Fighter, which is you're the bad guys now. You're not the rebels. You're the
and there's
Empire.
An Admiral Thrawn plot in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, actually, what made it even super compelling is that you had secret objectives. You had extra objectives to complete that would gain you favor as a special operative of the Emperor.
Yeah.
Within the Empire. So that was really cool. There was some really neat political intrigue.
Yeah, you could go around your base before leaving, and there's your commanding officer. It's here's what you need to do for the next mission. But some missions, there's a guy who I think alludes to the secret objectives, but he's just this shady, cloaked figure who probably has force powers. Who the fuck is this guy? And it's just intimidating that he's there at all. Do I talk to him?
Yeah, I think it's revealed that you were sponsored by Darth Vader personally.
Yeah, I know Darth Vader's in the game, but yeah.
Yeah, so really landmark game, and there were several. There were a couple continuations of it, but there was Rebel Alliance. I think was
Assault?
One of them. Assault. No, Rebel Assault is a total different series.
Okay.
Yeah, it was I forget. I own them all on GOG.
So do I actually, but I forgot.
But the one to play is TIE Fighter, and what's important about this is that Electronic Arts is actually putting out a game in this series for once in a really, really long time.
Woo, Electronic Arts. Can't wait for... Well,
I mean, they actually have had a good track record recently, especially with Star Wars
They made one good Star Wars game.
Yeah, one game after getting chewed out for their previous failure.
But maybe the chewing out is what they needed, is my point.
Well, what I'm afraid of is that they release their good game and they're like, whew, glad that's over, back to our shit. That's my main fear.
Well, I don't think you make Disney mad too often. You don't get a lot of extra chances with a gigantic, probably the biggest media company in the entire world.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, but yeah, they had X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was the sequel, and then X-Wing Alliance was the sequel to that.
That's what it was.
And then there was Star Wars Rebellion after that, I think.
Okay.
So, This was a storied franchise, but everybody seems to point to the TIE Fighter, like specifically the CD version, the special edition CD version of TIE Fighter. It's supposed to be like the shit.
It's got voice acting and everything, because I don't know if the original did, but the special one might have, or something like that.
It also had iMuse music. It used the iMuse engine, which was first used in the Monkey Island games, where it would change the music depending on the context of what you were doing at the time. So
that's
was
pretty
really
wild
cool.
for a game that old. It's like your radar is like the one in like Star Wars Episode 4, the targeting computer. It's like those vector graphics.
Yeah, I see these kinds of Starship simulations making a return. I've always said that this was like the genre that really it has a couple really crunchy games. Like you could play what is it? What's the big Elite is probably like one of the biggest.
Elite is a little bit different type of thing.
Elite is much more crunchy. It's like a much more Elite Dangerous is like a lot more like it has like trading elements and things like that, right?
Okay.
Yes, where you're playing a space trucker.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the same as like playing as the hero of the rebellion, or
like
I think savior of the Empire.
If you ever heard of the Wing Commander series.
Oh, sure. And there's like Privateer, where you're a privateer.
Yeah, a lot of people say the Privateer sub-series is even better than regular Wing Commander.
Like iWar.
Yeah. But I'm still saying that, like, games like this need to make a huge comeback, because they're very underserved, especially on consoles. But they have already promised that they have full VR support with this new game, which is really,
that's gotta
really
be
neat.
wild.
A lot of people are thinking about buying setups just to play this game, in full immersion.
I'm curious, will this game be like a classic simulation, or will it be like what is it called? Ace Combat.
Okay.
I think it's going to be somewhere in between. So it's not supposed to be an arcadey title, but it's also not going to be so crunchy that you don't want to play.
Yeah, the old games had like different buttons for like 5 different camera angles. There was like repair your what was it, like put your energy more into the lasers or more into the shields, or a combination of both.
There are crunchy elements. There are elements of high simulation, but not gigantic simulation. Where to the point where you don't want to play it anymore because you're just playing like a really hard game.
Yeah, like you gotta play the game with a keyboard.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen the keyboard layout of the game Overlord, which was just the World War II?
No, but if you ever bring up some
it.
like old style like war simulator, that's probably gonna be super complicated.
I think this is going to be in the line with TIE Fighter and Wing Commander. Just arcadey enough to be fun, but enough simulation to make.
Yeah, they might simplify the controls.
The simulation people,
like the difference between System Shock 2 and BioShock. They're kind of the same game, but like System Shock 2's mechanics were very different because it was designed for PC only.
Well, just to finish the anecdote, the Overlord game was like, it uses the entire keyboard and is a combination keyboard.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully it won't be anything at all like Rebel Assault 1 and 2. Rebel Assault 1 and 2, you brought those up. They were FMV style games with FMV elements.
Nice.
And they always played janky as hell. They were not. Comparing them with the X-Wing TIE Fighter series is
that's a very X-Wing and TIE Fighter had graphics like the original Star Fox.
No, X-Wing and TIE Fighter had pixel-based graphics. They were sprite-based.
They still had the look though. If they weren't polygon-based, they still had the this side of the ship is an opaque square or whatever.
No, they were made out of pixels. they had later versions that upgraded the graphics and
That's
put
what
a
I'm
new
referring
sheen
to.
on it.
I don't think I've played the original versions.
Oh, those are actually shunned. The later versions of TIE Fighter, you want to get the CD version, because that when you buy TIE Fighter like on GOG, they give you like 4 versions of it.
I know, it's insane.
You don't want to play the newest. You want to play like one back.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, because you want the CD quality audio, but you also want the
old style
pixel graphics.
Okay.
The pixel graphics, yeah. But good stuff either way. Everybody's really excited because they're committing to putting out a good flight sim in this lineage. So it's really, really cool. I'm looking forward to it. Also, there was some Smash Brothers news. So they added the Fallout Vault Boy to as a Mii Fighter gunner, which I thought was pretty interesting. Because there's not really any Bethesda stuff in Smash Brothers, so I just thought it was cool.
I know, it wasn't any Toby Fox stuff, and they still had that sense, so...
And then
Nintendo just goes around and absorbing this stuff in this regard.
Yeah. And they also revealed the amiibos for Joker from Persona 5 and the hero from Dragon Quest 10 or 11.
I was gonna say, are they gonna release like 11 hero amiibos?
So that's pretty possible, but I would imagine that maybe they would only release variants in Japan.
Okay.
But the primary one is of course the default, which is hero from 11. I would be very surprised if they didn't at least put out the hero from 3, which is the most popular game in the series. Who's Erdrick. And he's like the legendary hero of the series.
Yeah.
And also maybe the one from 8.
Yeah, 8 was a big deal in the West,
too.
At least.
And maybe 5 after that. 5 is like another big one. So 7's like a personal taste kind of game, and so 6 from what I understand. But yeah, I mean, I thought I think it would be really cool if they did that, but I wouldn't expect them all to come to America. I would never expect that. But you know, the Dragon Quest is getting some traction in the United States. 11's sold extremely well here. And it's one of the best RPGs of all time. It's so good. So I'm excited even just to get the amiibo, just because I want it. And they also revealed which ARMS character, which I saw this kind of happening. Min Min, which is one of the more popular characters. So she's the character from ARMS that hits you with ramen-based attacks.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah. She works at the Nintendo ramen shop. Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of people wanted the character that fights with her hair. I forget her name.
Twintel.
She's really cool. Yeah, Twintel. But I didn't see that happening. I saw more like either
the only character in the game with like actual normal arms.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, isn't it? I was thinking either the main character, what's his name?
Springman.
Springman, yeah, either Springman or Min Min, and Min Min ended up being the character, so that's pretty cool. Who knows? I don't think they revealed any alternates, so maybe
they are.
Yeah, maybe they'll have characters that behave just the same, you know, but look different, just like they do with a lot of other things. And this is more of an update, but M2 Shot Trigger's Toaplan, I announced this before. They have announced these. They're bringing those Toaplan games to Switch. They had just talked about releasing them on modern systems, but this is the place for modern releases. Also, M2 also revealed that Sega Age's Herzog Zwei is coming out for Switch, which is pretty cool.
One of the first MOBAs.
Yeah, it's actually considered to be one of the very first RTS games in general, real-time strategies games in general. It came out around the same time as Dune 2, which is everybody points to as like the first real-time strategy game. So it came out like right around the same time, and it was on console, which is pretty neat. But this is a game where you basically have. I'm sorry.
Just asking, like World of Warcraft and Command and Conqueror came after Doom.
Dune 2, yeah. Dune 2 was made by Westwood before they made Command and Conquer 1. Yeah, so Dune 2 is considered by many people to be the genesis of real-time strategy, as it is now. You might have some stuff leading up to it.
By the way, just for warming about Herzog, there is a games series on Steam called Air Mac, which is basically the concept basically taken to a modern state.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about what Herzog Zwei is and what made it special at the time. So this was a game that was released on the Mega Drive Genesis pretty early in its life. It was made by the same company who made the Thunder Force games, Technosoft, and that was later acquired by Sega. But a lot of the Technosoft library is being ported by M2 for the Sega Aegis line, which is amazing. Really good stuff that these games are being preserved. And Herzog Zwei was a game where you had a base, and you did all the kind of real-time strategy things, resource gathering and all that kind of stuff. But you had also all kinds of different units that you could deploy and order around against another base that was going on. So it was kind of like a PvP battle in any real-time strategy, but it was versus the computer. And it had all kinds of icons on what to do. It was a really complex game, and it was a lot of fun for the people that actually learned it, but it was very complex, so it was kind of hard to learn. But what was a little bit different about this game versus other RTSs is that you could actually physically, you could become a presence on the map. You had kind of a Macross style character where you could be a bipedal robot or a jet. Yeah, or a jet. So you could actually enter into the battles along with your troops as well. So that was actually a really cool part about it. And a lot of people really love that game and say it's one of the best games for the system. And it's very well regarded. So it's really cool that they're preserving this and hopefully even updating it to make it even easier to play and learn. I think that's really neat.
Well, just one thing I wanted to add back. One of the main concepts was that you could pick up, basically in your robot mode, you could just pick up your little tank buddies and just carry them where you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And
deployable to that.
Yeah, because it wasn't a mouse interface. They came up with an idea that your character was basically the mouse interface.
That's clever.
And it works really well. It actually wasn't awkward or anything.
Well, it's kind of like Dungeon Keeper, where your little hand that picks up enemies and drops them like that. That's you. You're the person above the screen.
It's just more like, imagine that just in more in Command and Conqueror, and instead of a hand you have a jet.
Okay, that's fair. I do like the idea, though. I mean, I'm derailing now, but I do like the idea that in Dungeon Keeper, whenever you have the hand over an enemy, it does that little I'm gonna grab him, like that little. It's hard to describe without visuals, but it's got that maybe that's the one I'll pick up, doing the thing where it rolls his fingers. That's. I mean, no one could see it, but what Vice got the message.
Grabby hands. Hovering over it. Ooh, I'll have this one.
Which cookie shall I select from the jar?
Yeah. Oh me, oh my. Which one? There were just a couple other little things. I wanted to quickly mention. We had talked about this at an earlier show. But the Commander Keen mobile game was canceled.
Yeah, we're finally doing a new Commander Keen. Really? Yeah, and it's mobile shit. And a long time later, over a year.
No.
Yeah, and it was going to be a game with gacha mechanics and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's everything that's a bad idea.
But the art looked neat. That was the thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe they'll turn it into a real game. Who knows?
Yeah, why not just come up with a neat Switch game, you know?
Like, it's fucking
like a
Commander
platformer.
Keen.
You know,
like, what are you doing?
Make it a bridge between Wolfenstein and Doom.
Why not
So
even
the
have...
game concludes with you making 3 clones of yourself, and then all getting captured and put on that little pedestal, and then years later, Doom Guy will come in and kill Cyberdemon and then kill all 4 of you. Oh, that's how it happened.
Isn't he, like, hanging in one of the...
4.
Yeah.
It was 4, and that was because EDA hated Apogee.
Oh, fair enough.
I mean, those guys, like, left the company, so...
Yeah, that's when you shoot them and they go...
But you know that the inside lore is that BJ Blazkowicz descendant, Billy Blaze is BJ Blazkowicz descendant, and the Doom Guy is...
Yes.
So Billy Blazkowicz is supposedly the grandson of BJ Blazkowicz, so...
Yes.
That's amazing.
And Doom Guy is somewhere down the line, you know, much further in the future. But yeah, according... they brought it all together with Doom RPG and Doom RPG 2, which are fantastic mobile games, unfortunately, that are locked to old Java phones. Which is a big shame because those games are great. I also wanted to quickly mention that the Mega Everdrive Pro is out. I just kind of wanted to mention that real quick. Looks like it's doing well, but you know that's one of those things that you're into. And also that Ultracore, which was an SNE, or was it
Genesis?
It was a Mega SG exclusive for a bit, right?
Yeah, because it was like a Genesis game that was made and then
canceled.
Lost to time. So like a lot of these classic consoles or like the analog consoles, they have some little gimmick that really pulls you in. Like the SNES one had Star Fox 2. We're finally actually releasing it. The Mega SG had Ultracore, and then the Sega Genesis Classic had a Tengen Tetris.
The Super NT Mini or the Super NT had
that Turrican game
had Super Turrican 1 Director's Cut.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, which was a full version of that game that had never been released. So
yeah, but like Ultracore was originally named Hardcore, but they changed it. Probably because it's...
similar to Turrican. Yeah, similar to Turrican.
Also utterly impossible to find in a Google search. Type hardcore video game.
Oh, boy.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought that was cool. They released that on Switch and PC, I think, recently.
Yeah, there we go.
So, other people can buy that game, and I'm sure it's been also dumped to... be played on emulators and flashcards, but it's actually
not only
playable.
that, but one of those not limited run games, but one of those limited companies had it for sale for PS4 as well. Cartridge. So like, it's been ported, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of neat. Just a touchstone, really. So, we got to wrap things up because this has been a long show. Because we had a lot of cool things to talk about. It wasn't a whole lot of drama that I wanted to talk about. There's all kinds of things going on Twitch and other places that are outside of our scope. But I wanted to at least celebrate some good announcements here for sure. So I want to thank everybody here, and we'll wrap up for today. That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. Maybe Lotus Prince might even try a new flavor of potato chip if you keep it up.
Whoa. Don't make promises that I didn't necessarily commit to.
I said maybe.
Okay.
Plain, let's mix it up.
That is a crowning moment in my life.
Barbecue tasted.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him some of those Contra Pringles.
I can English.
You could also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Skype, Steam, and on Discord under the name Dracologist.
Well, just lovely. We'll catch everybody again on Thursday. See you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Good evening.